Tayshia's final four has been revealed. We're breaking down the emotional goodbyes and who's going to hometowns. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have to talk about the latest episode of The Bachelorette, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms and Hiba Berry. Hi guys.
Hey.
Hello.
So this was episode 1 of what I'm sure is going to be a very eventful week. We obviously have another episode to look forward to tomorrow, but this was like pretty crazy. A lot has happened. As we kicked off the episode, Tayshia basically revealed that she needed major clarity. The weight of hometowns was definitely hitting her hard. She had to cut 4 guys, which is pretty stressful at this stage of the game. First up, we had her one-on-one with Blake, their first chance to spend some real time together. Bit of an interesting activity. They went and saw a crystal master, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't know existed. But nonetheless, it provided a lot of that clarity Tayshia was looking for. She felt like she needed to end it with Blake before we even got to the evening portion. I mean, I'm just dying to know your thoughts on this. I feel like Blake has been someone who's just steadily been doing a pretty good job this whole time. So were you surprised to see him go? Were you bummed? What were your thoughts, Avery?
I think because he's been doing steadily a good job, that's why he got sent home, because there are guys doing a lot better. And I've said this before, I just feel like because he wasn't getting a lot of camera time, that was already a hint. Like, compared to other guys, we just always saw Blake with other guys, not necessarily spending that much time with Tayshia. So I just wasn't surprised. I never really saw them being a match. And I kind of sensed that after she got like her chakras aligned, she would have like an awakening and realize like, no, I don't want to be with him. And, you know, she ended up sending Riley home right after that too. So I guess it worked.
I thought it was so funny that she wanted a crystal master to do her dirty work to tell her, is this man even worth it? Girl, just tell me straight up. Let's cut right to the chase. They barely sat down and talked. She went straight to the crystal master and was like, tell me what I'm feeling with this guy, if anything. So I thought that was so funny. And I mean, again, with Blake, he just kind of seemed like he was scrambling last minute to make up all this time that he had in the season to kind of convince Tayshia, like, oh, hey, like, I'm still here. What about me, you know? So it just felt a little too desperate. And again, he was just too late, honestly. He had this whole season. She now has to narrow it down to the final 4. And now he's trying to make a move. So it just seemed way too delayed for me and kind of just not genuine to me because it didn't seem like he was fighting for her. And again, I don't know if that's just his personality. He's maybe a little bit more reserved or not, but it just seemed like he's the type of person that just procrastinated this season and then just kind of tried to play catch up when he finally got the chance, when he should have fought for it from the beginning.
Totally. I mean, she said it herself, like, it's so obvious that he's a great guy, that he's a good person. He's had these lovely moments. I think she's like been able to see it working with him. But when push comes to shove, she's just more invested in these other relationships. That being said, I totally agree with you guys. I think those were such valid points. I was a little shook by how emotional the goodbye was. And I feel like it was like, you know, a couple of things. Obviously, Blake's a good guy, and that's very, very tough. But this seems to be like the wave of, oh my God, this is all coming to an end. You're going to have to send guys home that are great guys that you care about. And it's not just going to be Blake. Which, of course, as Avery already mentioned, kinds of takes us straight into the clarity she found with Riley as well. I think it just really hit her, whether it was the crystal healer or I don't know what. But, like, there are guys that are clearly solidly in, like, a front runner category. And then there are guys that are great, but they're just not there. And unfortunately, Riley was one of those guys. She did sit all of the guys down first and make it very clear that this is difficult for her. She really, really doesn't want to hurt anyone. You can tell it's so genuine. Like she's really thinking this through. I thought it was really sweet how important it was to her to tell Riley, like, the reason I don't want to go through with hometowns is because I know how important your family is to you. And I really do care about you. And I just think after hometowns, our relationship isn't going to stack up with some of my other relationships. So I don't want to put you through that. Of course, it's basically it's not you, it's me, which is kind of the worst. But I don't know. I really did feel for her in this moment. I feel like it's so obvious how much she did care. But same question. Were you surprised to see Riley go? Were you bummed? I mean, how did you feel about this moment, Hiba?
I gotta say, it didn't seem like Riley was one of the front runners. When I thought of the final four, he didn't really come to mind, and he just kind of fell in the background. I mean, of course, they had that great connection, etc., great dates. They all went successfully. But when it came to really seeing who the strongest suitor was to make it to the final four, Riley didn't make the list for me. And it was interesting because Blake versus Riley, Blake wanted more time, but Riley was running out of time. So it was interesting to kind of see that compare and contrast and know how much invested they were to Tayshia. So it was interesting to see those two dynamics, but I really wasn't surprised.
No, I was not really surprised that he got sent home. Just because I feel like this was another one we kind of saw coming. I didn't want this to happen because he is such a good guy and just continued to open up each episode. And you could tell he didn't want to do that. He's not someone who naturally opens up. So this was really hard for him. And it hit me hard when he asked her, "Why'd you keep me for so long?" And I feel like it was because she didn't want to get to this moment that she knew she would have to face. So like we said, after sending Blake home, it just led to this. And it's not easy, but it's something she knew she had to do. And unfortunately, it was Riley. But we lost some good ones.
We definitely did. I mean, you mentioned the moment when he asks, like, why did you keep me? Another moment that got me was when she's like crying, saying she feels like she let him down. I mean, we've been saying this literally all season long, but they cast some really quality guys. And I think that Tayshia honestly has maybe had one of the harder like Bachelorette decision making processes to go through, because each of these guys comes with such a unique story, such a good head on their shoulders. Like, it's going to continue to get tougher and tougher. Obviously, we have some more to talk about later. But of course, I mean, these major decisions, they were made before we even got to a cocktail party. Things really kicked off at the beginning of this episode. Speaking of the cocktail party, let's just jump ahead to that short-lived evening. Of course, we know she cancels the cocktail party because, again, she's been putting a lot of thought in. She found a lot of clarity and she knew what she wanted to do. I think it was not, she wasn't looking for an opportunity for her mind to be changed. The only thing that's really notable at the party itself was Bennett surprising the guys with his appearance. He said he didn't want to look like a Harvard D-bag, and he immediately revealed to the group that he told Tayshia he loved her. So what were your thoughts? I mean, it wasn't a super long, drawn out drama, but we did get Bennett's surprise reappearance. How did you think the guys reacted? What were your thoughts when Bennett walked through the room, Avery?
I mean, their reaction was my reaction. Like, why is he back? Why are we doing this again? Like, we just got rid of him. I understand he's a character and he adds some type of something to the show, but I've said this so many times. I'm so over talking about him and Noah and just this situation because it's so dumb. It's not real drama. And it's not even good like drama. So I'm just over it still. Glad things played out the way they did at the end of the day, but the reactions were what was expected, honestly.
I mean, when Bennett walked through that door, he was eating it up. I mean, he's the type of person that lives off of this. He loves that attention. He loves being the shock factor, always, wanting to be the one that turns heads when walking through the door, which he literally quite did tonight in today's episode. So I feel like, again, he lives off of this. And I mean, I respect that he's back to fight for Tayshia. He was back on her doorstep, trying to redeem himself and, get a second chance, a second shot with her, which I respect. But again, that drama, and I will use that word again, those catty fights that he would have with Noah, I mean, we put an end to it. The dust settled. And now the fact that he came back, it's like, oh boy, here we go, round two.
Totally. I mean, I definitely agree with you guys. And I think just like the juxtaposition of seeing Blake and Riley be let go and how emotional she was, like it just sort of felt like the wrong twist. Like, I don't think any of us were really interested in that. Personally, in that moment, I was very glad not to be having a cocktail party, to get straight to the ceremony and just see what the heck was going to go on, who was going to stay. Of course, 2 guys had to go home. We were at our final 6. She ends up cutting Noah and Bennett, something it feels like perhaps could have been done a while ago, which just means that hometowns ends up being Zach, Ivan, Ben, and Brendan, which I feel like I want to go back into an old recap because I kind of feel like at some point we were like pretty sure it would be these 4 because they're, I mean, just such a great group of guys. But for the very last time, let's talk about Bennett and Noah. I was ready. I was ready to say goodbye. We love to ask the question, like, who would you give a rose to? Who would you have saved? Any chance either of you would have saved them? I feel like I know the answer. Avery, we were ready.
Not. No. They both would have been going home the first chance I had to send them. Like when she had them both sitting there and she said, "What's in the box?" They both got to go. But it's just funny how it worked out. They both still ended up leaving at the same time at the end of the day. So it's just kind of ironic, but I'm glad they're gone for good now.
That's exactly what I wrote in my notes too. I was like, ironic that Noah and Bennett were eliminated together. Well, while they were the ones arguing about each other, trying to fight for Tayshia's love, yet she kicks them out together. So I thought that was kind of like a nice, bow to wrap on their storyline.
Oh my gosh, definitely. The irony of it all. Like I just sort of started to say, these final 4 have been like some of our favorites this entire time, some of Bachelor Nation's favorites this entire time. I mean, it is going to be tough from this point out. I mean, I don't know how she's going to do the task of whittling it down to 3, whittling it down to 2. I certainly do not envy her. Well, you guys, we want to know your thoughts on this week's episode, on everyone who is sent home, and of course, what you think is coming for us next week. We went ahead and broke down that promo clip by clip, looking for clues. So if you're interested in making some predictions with us, make sure you head to the description and check out that video. Also, this episode, of course, featured Men Tell All, which I know we have all been waiting for. But it was much too juicy to squeeze it all into one recap. So we're giving that the moment it deserves. So again, head to the description if you want to see all of our thoughts on this crazy Men Tell All experience as well. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell because Tayshia's journey is almost over and we will be covering every single minute of it. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms and Hiba Berry. Our socials are on the screen. Come say hi and chat all things Bachelorette with us. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.